Hi, Brigham. Let me know when you can hear me.
Yes,
Very
I can hear
late.
you.
I don't have a good
Great, totally
excuse.
fine.
My dog peed on my bed. I was just
That's a
stripping it and
perfect
putting it in the
excuse.
laundry, and then it was
Yeah,
like, oh gosh, I'm late. So
no, you're totally
I
fine.
would have been on time, and then I got distracted. That's my excuse.
That's an emergency, though. That's fine.
Eh, is it though? I mean, it's like not the end
I,
of the
I
world.
certainly wouldn't expect you to just leave it there. So,
Yeah, I feel like he was just being a brat because I'm like, I literally had taken you out to pee an hour ago.
yeah, he's trying to make a
I,
point. Yes.
yeah, I really think he was just like, Mom, you were gone all day and you're ignoring me. That's what I think
Yeah.
happened.
This is what happens when you do that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like they just turned into little brats. And also, he did not try to tell me. So I'm like,
Oh no, of course not.
this was just you being a booger. That's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. Yes, I hope you learned your lesson. Just like,
Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and dive in. What have you been working on since I saw you last?
so you had me um pick out more excerpts from this one book that we've been
Yes,
looking at.
because we had really good character voices,
Yeah.
like fun little stories, interactions, relationships. It's almost like you've got, a two character scene, but then you also have the narrator, right? So I
Yeah.
think those are really fun because you get to create the character voices. You also get to be improving your narration and storytelling. So yeah, it's like all the things to work on in one. So yeah, we talked about
Yes.
what a good book it was to pull from because it has all these, little vignettes, little moments
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I did do that. I went through and I picked out some that I would just kind of practiced as much as I could.
Okay.
Um felt I mostly picked out like two
Okay.
um
Yeah.
that I've been practicing.
Sure.
Um but and one of them I was a little bit better at than the other, but like um and then that was in addition to like the one that we worked on last time with like the interaction between the two old ladies.
Oh, great. Awesome. Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to pick more with the same characters, but like in different situations, or if you were going to try to create all new character voices.
Yeah. So all of them do involve kind of this central character of the grandma. So
Oh, fun. Yeah. So the
yeah,
whole
so
world kind of revolves around her in this book.
yeah, yeah, and it's
Nice.
her grandkids' perspective, as
Nice.
they're visiting her.
Yeah.
But she interacts with different people, constantly. So
Okay. Nice.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah. So you've got her as kind of a staple, and then you've got these other characters that come into her life. And what's cool about that is you get to see her in all these different situations, but then you also get to create these, totally different, various characters and create different relationships with her, different situations, different emotions that she's going through. She'll have people she's really excited to see, people she's like, ugh, times when maybe she's really excited, really frustrated, she's maybe soothing, right? So, all kinds of different scenarios with the same character can be a really cool thing to explore, I think. And it's
yeah,
fun to see too, like the voice will sometimes evolve as
mhm,
you kind of dig into that character more and understand the multifaceted aspects of the character too. So,
yeah,
yeah, awesome. Very
yeah, absolutely.
cool. So, did you pick out multiple scenes, right? Do you have like two, three?
Yeah, I have two,
Okay,
um,
great. Awesome.
two that I think should take up plenty of time. Um,
Cool. Yeah. So, you've been working on them. So, I would love to just kind of hear where they're at to start, and then we can work on them a little bit more. Did you try recording them or were you just kind of practicing them live?
more just practice them live. I didn't try
Yeah.
recording them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
No
second
problem at
one
all.
that I was really struggling with is because it calls for a small accent. And so I was like, oh crap.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So
But
you were like, I'm gonna push myself outside my comfort zone a little
a little
bit.
bit.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, my another student of mine, Shamara, she's gotten really solid with basically like, so the whole Meisner definition of what acting is, he says that acting is living truthfully under an imaginary circumstance. And I feel like she's gotten so good at that, at putting herself in their shoes, living authentically in their world. And so now we're branching out into creating character voices that are very different than hers, including things like accents, dialects. And it's funny, her husband is actually from New Zealand, and she's like, "Oh, I can't do it."
Yeah,
Like, and he'll laugh at her trying to work on stuff, and he'll
yeah,
like try to coach her, and he's just like, "Oh, honey."
yeah.
So we're at that point too with her where she's like, I think I really suck at this and I gotta work on it more.
Accents and they're hard. They're
They're
so hard.
scary, I think too, at first. They're really scary. And I think too, when you haven't necessarily been around them or heard the different things, it can be especially tricky. And then also, especially when there are sounds that maybe you didn't grow up hearing or doing. So, for instance, like in French, they have mixed vowels and they have
Yes.
nasal vowels. We don't have either of those things in American English, right? So
Yeah.
that's really weird for us. Or some people I'll run into, like this was really hard for me originally, the rolled R's. And people like I straight up was convinced I couldn't do it. And
Mhm.
then I had a coach who was like, let me see under your tongue. She was like, some people have an anatomical thing that makes them not able to. And then she looked and she was like, you're good. You can learn this. You're fine. And then she
Yeah.
was like, you're going
Okay.
to learn it. We're going to master it. And I was like, no, I can't do it. And she was like, yes, you can.
Yeah.
So we
Just
worked on
hammering
it
that
and
out.
now I can roll my R's all day long. Right. So,
Mm.
but it took me like consistent practice with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really intimidating at first, I think. And it's kind of like trying to sound like a little kid or like an elderly person or like the
Yeah. It's just kind of like,
opposite, a different gender kind of a thing. So
yeah.
thinking of like an opposite personality, those kind of things, they can at first be really daunting. So I'm really proud of you for stretching yourself and pushing yourself to do it. Um,
Thanks.
Even with, so my dad's family is all from Alabama. Even with that, there'll be other more southern or country or like mountain folk kind of dialects that
Mhm.
are really intimidating. And even that, I'm like, I grew up hearing that my whole life, and I still sometimes am like, okay, got to get into that because
Yeah.
it's not my default, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that totally makes sense, and I'm really proud of you for being so brave and being like, "Here we go. We're gonna tackle this." I
I even like
have
brought
I
it up
have
with like,
certain ones that are more scary for me too than others.
yeah. Yeah. Well, like the one in yeah, the second one that I picked, it's a yeah, it's more of a dial it's a New York accent. She's talking about something from
Ooh,
New York.
yeah.
And the narrator, I
Yeah.
wouldn't usually care if it weren't for the fact that the narrator points out like he had a funny accent.
Yes.
And it's just like, dang
Right.
it. Now I actually need to do it.
I'm walking here. Don't spill
Yeah.
coffee on my dog, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I like started like just like looking up the YouTube videos and
Yeah.
just examples
Mm.
and just like try to find like certain people that I like or characters that I knew that
Yes,
like spoke
and
like that.
listen, right, and study what you're
Yeah.
hearing. Yeah, I think listening is so important in voice acting. I had a student who she did not have the accent, but um she had a lot of family who lived in Long Island, and she was like, they really
Yes.
do talk like that.
Yes. Yeah.
But
I was like watching like the different a video on like the different like how people talk about how like there tends to be different kinds of New York accents based on
yeah,
different
right,
things.
which part of the city? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Hmm.
just like and I ended up just
If
doing
they're
like a
from Jersey, right?
yeah, yeah, the Bronx, you know. It's like
Yes. Hmm.
yeah, but you know,
Yeah, I've heard people who are from England say that too, that they're like, yeah, I can tell if they're like more north, more south, like
mhm.
different regions that people are from there even. So if you think about America, it's so big. We've got so many. It's funny too, because a lot of people don't think they have an accent. Like my Aunt Paula, she is convinced she does not have the accent I do. And she talks like this. Oh yeah, oh sure, you
Oh
betcha.
yeah.
Don't you know?
It's like you
So,
hear something like that's just like, so you're from Minnesota, somewhere around there, like,
mm, I mean, I don't think she's ever lived anywhere else. So,
yeah,
she's
yeah,
visited other places, but yeah.
yeah. It is interesting. It is very interesting.
Yeah, I know some people who have literally never left the county that they live in. So,
Hmm.
yeah, sometimes it's like that's all they have heard forever. So,
Yeah, so interesting.
yes,
Huh.
yeah. Alrighty, well, I'm very excited to hear our scenes. Do you want to
Really.
start with the one that's a little more scary with the accent, or do you want to start with one that's a little less intimidating?
Let's start with the one that's a bit simpler. Just kind of ease my way into it.
Warm up into it. Love it. All right, let's try it.
Okay. All four of us, Mr. and Mrs. Cowgill, Mrs. Wilcox, and me, burst into the kitchen, and it seemed that nobody had moved a muscle. The butt of the shotgun was still buried in Grandma's shoulder, and she was squinting down the barrels. The Cowgill boys looked like they were on the chain gang already. Their pa had a milder look than his bruiser boys. They were a lot taller than he was. Now, Mr. Cowgill said, what have we here? What we have here, Grandma said, is breaking and entering, burglary and pilfering, reform school for the youngest one, the penitentiary for the overgrown ones. Unless my trigger finger gives way to temptation. Now, Mrs. Dowdle, Mr. Cowgill said, this is nothing more than a misunderstanding. My boys aren't broke out with brains, you know. I have an idea they just wandered into the wrong house. Oh, they wandered into the wrong house, all right, Grandma said. Mrs. Dowdle, compose your soul and patience, Mr. Cowgill said. You know yourself, boys will be boys. They's high spirited. They'll settle down in time and all be good Christian men. Their ma and I have set them a good example. Now put up that shotgun and don't look ladylike. I was tempted to cover my ears because that alone was enough to make Grandma squeeze off a round. But strangely, Grandma lowered the shotgun. Well, you know best, being their pa, she said calmly. But get them out of my kitchen, and you owe me a screen wire. You owe me a new screen wire for the one they cut to get in, and I'll want me a new mailbox. There now, I knew you'd see sense, Mrs. Dowdle, Mr. Cowgill said. Come along, boys. He patted his biggest bruiser's shoulder, and all four of them were trying hard not to smirk.
Nice. All right. I love it. Um, we do have a little bit of like a country, like nasally twang with the grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And then for, that one male character, it's a little bit like lower and slower and more rounded feeling and more like sitting back here. Whereas the grandma's
Mm-hmm.
a little more like tight behind the nose and a little more bright. So like the tongue's going to be pushed more forward in the mouth with that male character that's more low and slow. The tongue's going to be pulled back a little bit more to get that kind of a sound. Nice. So
Yeah.
I'm curious what you used to find this. So like, did you use character inspirations? Did you, find another actor that you're like, oh, I'd love it to sound like John Goodman, or like, you find somebody that you're like, I really like the way this character sounds. I want them to sound similar.
So for the grandma, I think I've said this before. It's like I always think of my seventh and eighth grade history and English teacher who was very much like this kind of personality, very,
Cool.
very independent, very sharp,
Mhm.
very strong-willed, very larger than life in a sort of way. Um,
Yeah.
um, yeah, despite being, this older lady. Um, and so she's definitely the one that I always think of whenever I do the grandma's voice. As for his, I it was kind of a mix of like my roommate's been watching Little House on the Prairie, show that I've never
Yeah.
liked, but just a couple of the voices from there. But mostly, I was just trying to sound like, especially because like at different points in the story, her sons talk, and it kind of comes across that her sons are kind of like no, kind of talking kind of a little bit dumb, kind of sort of way. I was trying to imagine just kind of like
Yeah.
a more sophisticated, but also like that maybe could have given birth to these, kind of guys.
Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah. So then So when you think about creating each of the characters, what are like the sensations, the physical sensations that you think about? Things like I might think of things like, okay, I feel like a more pressurized airflow in my vocal folds. I feel like I raise my larynx on this one. I feel like I bring down the palate and make more a megaphone shape, or like I really round my lips and pucker on this. So what would be um maybe something that that you think of that helps you to kind of find the physical sensation of that.
I think with the dad in this scene, I try to sound, I guess, um, I try to keep my voice a little bit tense while trying to sound relaxed, if that makes sense. Because like,
Yeah.
because in this scene, he's trying to defuse the situation, and I feel like he would be probably a little, this old lady, this crazy old lady, is pointing a gun at at his sons, but he's
Yeah.
also, but so he's trying, but he's also not like supposed to be like a this. He's trying to be okay now. Let's take it easy now, and
Yeah.
and also he kind of has that little bit of the boys will be boys, don't look ladylike,
Right.
put that gun away, sort of a little bit of not sleaziness, but just kind of like kind of
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I like that. Yeah, so you think more about like defining characteristics, descriptive adjectives, kind of the type of person that they are, and then that helps you tap into what you're going to do with that character. Nice.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why I do try to like kind of tighten my
Hmm.
my voice a little bit when I speak, is to add that little bit of
Yeah.
tension, like to like he's nervous, but
Right.
he's trying to kind of smooth talk his way in as well. So which is why I think might be dropping it a little bit lower, is to kind of do a little bit of the smooth talking.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Smooth talking. Ooh, okay, yeah. And so I like that you're kind of giving so like in Meisner method, they have this thing called a hot who. So what he does is you take an adjective and a noun and pair them together, and it gives a particular, it evokes a feeling towards the character. Like mm, they are the mysterious hotshot. They are the warm, fuzzy blanket. They are the confusing roller coaster, right? And it evokes like
Hmm.
a feeling. And I feel like some of the things you said act kind of like that, where it's um, kind of like a descriptive word that makes you have a strong emotional feeling about that character, which is really, really cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. Nice. So then, I know you said that listening really helps you. So that's where I was like, what have you been listening to try to find those two? So yeah. Um, so what would you say you would like to see yourself do more of? What are the things you're liking the best about it? What do you think are the things that you're like, ah, I wish I could, do more of X, Y, Z, or, I really loved this that I did. Let's play with that.
Honestly, with this one, I think it just kind of like is good for me to practice. It's good for me for practicing her voice, um,
Yeah.
which every time I come back to it, I still always feel like, what did I do last time? Even though like, and like I always have the same, person inspiration in my mind. I feel like
Mm.
I replicate it a little bit differently every single time.
Okay.
And so it's like I feel like this one has been good for me as far as just like trying to make it a little bit more consistent. But
Ah,
that's
okay.
been
Yeah, nice. Good.
yeah.
And also, how are you making because last time we worked on the sheriff, how are we making him different than this like farmer man?
So I think like a big difference between the sheriff and this uh the milkman. He like with the sheriff, I I tried to raise my register, speaking a higher voice, not like full on. high voice, but just I'm the sheriff of the county, that kind of thing. Um, and, he was a little bit louder, a little bit more outraged, try to sound a little bit older, I guess.
Mm.
And this
Yeah.
one, I try to keep it a little bit more calm,
Okay.
lower register,
Yeah.
maybe more middle aged,
Sure.
not quite as breathy or scratchy.
Ah, nice. Okay, good. Yeah, because I did hear some similarities with the characters, but also some
I
differences there.
noticed some as well. Yeah,
Yeah, which I think is totally fine. Like characters can sound similar, but then be different, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Very nice. All right. So then, um, yeah. So if we did it one more time, what would be the number one thing that you're like, I would like to do this a little differently, or I want to focus on improving this? What would be that number one thing?
I would say maybe I think I was kind of falling into the sheriff kind of voice a little bit. Maybe a little bit too much. I mean, I might want to take a little
Okay.
bit step back, just try to emphasize the whole calm, lower, kind of smooth talking, even if it is a little bit tense kind of sound, making
Yeah.
that a little bit more unique. And then just making sure that her voice is still consistent. Because in this one, she's a little bit more aggressive in this one,
Yeah.
but still
Okay.
making
Yeah.
it sound like the
Okay.
same lady that I've been
Absolutely.
voicing.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Cool. So let's go ahead and try it again.
Okay. All four of us, Mr. and Mrs. Cowgill, Mrs. Wilcox, and me, burst into the kitchen, and it seemed that nobody had moved a muscle. The butt of the shotgun was still buried in Grandma's shoulder, and she was squinting down the barrels. The Cowgill boys looked like they were on the chain gang already. Their pa had a milder their pa had a milder look than his bruiser boys. They were all a lot taller than he was. Now, now, Mr. Cowgill said, what have we here? What we have here, Grandma said, is breaking and entering, burglary and pilfering, reform school for the youngest one, the penitentiary for the overgrown ones, unless my trigger finger gives way to temptation. Now, Mrs. Dowdle, Mr. Cowgill said, this is nothing more than a misunderstanding. My boys aren't broke out with brains. I have an idea they just wandered into the wrong house. Oh, they wandered into the wrong house, all right, Grandma said. Mrs. Dowdle, compose your soul in patience, Mr. Cowgill said. You know yourself, boys will be boys. They's high spirited. They'll settle down in time and all be good Christian men. Their ma and I have set them a good example. Now put up that shotgun. It don't look ladylike. I was tempted to cover my ears, because that alone was enough to make Grandma squeeze off a round. But strangely, Grandma lowered the shotgun. Well, you know best, being their pa, she said calmly. But get them out of my kitchen. And you owe me for the screen wire they cut to get in. And I'll want me a new mailbox. There now. I knew you'd see sense, Mrs. Dowdle, Mr. Cowgill said. Come along, boys. He patted his biggest bruiser's shoulder, and all four of them were trying hard not to smirk.
Nice. All right. Good. How did that feel different this time?
It felt a lot better. Just like I felt like in both those ways, I felt like his voice was a bit more calm, a bit,
Ah, yes,
a bit,
I
a bit
agree.
more distinct, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and was kind of what I was going for. And then hers was, I feel like I was able to just kind of replicate what I did before, which is good. So
Right. Yeah. Consistency. I was gonna say that as well. Very nice. Good. So at this point, is there anything else that you're like, I really, want to land this line differently, or I'd love to see if I could do XYZ. What would you say? Anything else, or are you like, I think I got it now?
I feel like I got that one.
Good. I liked it too. I thought it was really nice. I felt like just continuity wise. I felt like it had improved. Um, like it felt like the energy throughout stayed consistent. Um, and the story was really like connected. I felt like I heard certain parts of the scene differently than I had heard the other time, which is really cool. I got more insights into it. And things that maybe I missed the first time. So nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yay.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and let's try the other scene.
Okay. All right. Um, a warm breeze had dried the sheets. I was taking them down when a man started across the side yard. A stranger. Grandma, I said to warn her. Whoa, she called out to him. What's your business? He carried nothing in his hands and looked travel worn. I wondered if he was a drifter who'd wandered away from the Wabash tracks. I'm looking for a room, he said in a funny accent. He was a
Hmm.
little fellow for this part of the country. Who sent you to me? Grandma asked. The postmistress, he said, blinking through horn-rimmed glasses. She just said I'd have to go door to door to see if anybody'd rent me a room, and you're the last house in town. Don't you people have a hotel around here? Used to, but it was burned to the ground in the War of 1812. Grandma watched him to see if he was dumb enough to believe that the War of 1812 had been fought around here. He was. Where are you from? She asked. New York, he said, trooping in the yard, keeping his distance from Grandma. I'm here from the WPA, the Works Progress Administration. The government? Grandma's eyes narrowed. He nodded. I'm supposed to do some painting in the post office. Give it 2 coats, Grandma advised. The paint's about the only thing that's holding it up. The post office was a one-room shanty behind the coffee pot cafe. Used to be the barber shop. Not that kind of painting, he said, tired. I'm an artist. I work large, murals mostly. Well, you won't get a mural in our post office, she told him. There's no room in that cracker box to hang up your tintype. He knew that. But they cut my orders in Washington. Now Grandma's eyes narrowed to slits. That's our tax dollars in action, she said. What they paying you? $4 per diem, he said. Son, you're home, Grandma said.
Okay. All righty. So what did you like about that take? What worked well?
Felt good about the grandma's voice.
I agree. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this new character. So what have you decided for him? Like who he is, what his relationship is to the grandma, why he's here, what brought him here, how like what's his mood in this? What does he want or need in this scene?
Yeah. Well, he's obviously this big city guy that's now in the middle of podunk, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um, Probably not very fond of it. Um, but but he doesn't really have a choice. He's just, he's doing this for work because it's the Great Depression, and he's,
Hmm.
desperate. And the narrator even points out that like he's very travel worn. He's tired.
Yeah.
He's probably been through a rough time. Um,
Right.
so so and now he's reached the grandma's house, looking for a place to board, for room and board. And she's kind of skeptical at first because she also doesn't like city folk, and also the whole government paying for tax dollars and everything like that. But then once
Yes.
she hears how much she's making, she's like, hmm, okay. Uh, yeah. So with him, I kind of imagine kind of like this, like he doesn't really want to be there, but he knows that he doesn't really have a choice.
Hmm.
He has no other options. Um, and I would imagine as like a New Yorker, he still has kind of that attitude, you know,
Hmm.
that New York attitude, but like a little bit more worn down because he knows
Yeah.
that he's not in a position of, you know.
Right.
So he'll still make the remarks, don't you people have a hotel? Like, and like when as she like prods, like you could tell that maybe he's a little irritated at having to answer these same questions probably over and over, but he just goes along with it. He just answers, and occasionally not that kind of painting, you know. So so kind
Yeah.
of this guy that's forced to be kind of humbled, this big
Mm,
city guy that's forced to be kind of humbled out in the middle
yeah.
of nowhere.
Do you think he'd
Um,
like have a chip on his shoulder a little bit?
maybe a little bit, yeah,
But it's
yeah,
like he's
which is
too tired to do anything with it.
yeah, exactly, yeah, which is why like like he just kind of he still speaks in a very direct sort of way, like 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 again, like with the whole like no, not that kind of painting, and like when she says like there's not room enough to like paint a mural, and it's the narrator just says like he knew. It's like it implies that he just kind of is like yeah, but like this is just what the government's already told me to do. Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. So why is this character talking to the grandma character? Like, why is he here talking to her? What's the purpose in that?
um because she's his last option as far as like finding a place to stay while
Hmm.
he does this work for the government that he's required to do.
Yeah.
um
So you have to convince her, otherwise you're going to be camping.
yeah, yeah,
So I think you could up the ante a little bit, like add a little more urgency. This is important. You need this.
yeah,
Yeah. So raise the stakes a little bit. You'll hear that a lot in acting. Raise the stakes.
raise the stakes. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
And
okay.
then when the grandma first sees him, how does she feel about him? Is she like suspicious? Is she
she's she's
curious?
usually the kind of yeah, she's usually the kind of person to never even entertain
Hmm.
anybody, soliciting or like coming on her property, let alone
Right. He's
asking to
lucky she
stay with
didn't
her.
shoot him.
Yeah, exactly. But as she, you could tell that she still doesn't really want to be talking to him. But it isn't until like, and then she's still kind of annoyed by what he's talking about. But then when she kind of starts to maybe consider it a little bit,
Yeah.
and because as she realizes that, wait a minute, I'm like this guy's last option. Like, how much are they paying you?
Right,
Like,
because I can get a chunk of that change, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I think a little bit more of like her shift in perspective too. Lean more into
yeah,
that where she changes towards him. Yeah?
yeah.
All right, let's try it again.
Okay. A warm breeze had dried the sheets. I was taking them down when a man started across the side yard. A stranger. Grandma, I said to warn her. Whoa, she called out to him. What's your business? He carried nothing in his hands and looked travel worn. I wondered if he was a drifter who'd wandered away from the Wabash tracks. I'm looking for a room, he said in a funny accent. He was a little fellow for this part of the country. Who sent you to me? Grandma asked. The postmistress, he said, blinking through horn-rimmed glasses. She just said I'd have to go door to door to see if anybody'd rent me a room, and you're the last house in town. Don't you people have a hotel around here? Used to, but it was burned to the ground in the War of 1812. Grandma watched him to see if he was dumb enough to believe that the War of 1812 had been fought around here. He was. Where are you from? She asked. New York. He stood drooping in the yard, keeping his distance from Grandma. I'm here from the WPA, the Works Progress Administration. The government? Grandma's eyes narrowed. He nodded. I'm supposed to do some painting in the post office. Give it two coats, Grandma advised. The paint's about the only thing that's holding it up. The post office was a one-room shanty behind the coffee pot cafe. It used to be the barber shop. Not that kind of painting, he said, tired. I'm an artist. I work large. Murals mostly. Well, you won't get a mural on our post office, she told him. There's not room in that cracker box to hang up your tintype. He knew that. But they cut my orders in Washington. Now Grandma's eyes narrowed to slits. That's our tax dollars in action, she said. What they paying you? $4 per diem, he said. Son, you're home, Grandma said.
Nice. Yeah, she sounded eager after that. Excellent. Good. So, I'm liking the flow of that scene better and like the back and forth. It felt more like, it was reacting off of each other, which I really liked. I would say do some more listening to that New York accent.
That's all. Yeah.
I feel like there could be some more like elision where a word kind of glides into the next one. Pay attention to like what sounds they emit. How do they do their R's, their D's, their T's? Look for those kind of consistent things that they do, like what they're doing with their vowels, right? So I'm going to challenge you to do some listening and then like write down what you hear
Okay.
this week, okay?
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, nice. Really good
Yay.
progress. What would you say is your main takeaway from this?
Um, I would say, well, I mean, this is something that I am kind of reminded of a lot every time we do this, but I think it's just like the importance of just like going through it once, kind of going over it again, just thinking like, okay, what is it that I am trying? What is it that I'm going for
Yeah,
it
kind of
with these?
clarifying that for yourself.
Yeah, because I feel like the first time you go through it, it's easy to just kind of have like a vague idea,
Mm,
and then to just kind of
yeah.
like, and then kind of like okay, nail it a bit more. Just like, okay, no, this is what I'm kind of
Hmm.
looking for.
Yeah, that vision becomes a lot more clear for what we're trying to do with this. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Great. Awesome. Okay, good. So let's for next time, let's plan to really hone in on that New York dialect, okay? So
Okay.
do a lot of listening these next couple weeks, and then let's really focus on that, cleaning that up a lot, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. And I would say the other one, go ahead and record that one,
Okay.
the first one we worked on. Alrighty?
Awesome.
Cool.
Perfect.
Awesome. Alrighty,
Yay.
so I'll see you in a couple weeks, okay?
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks so much, Vandi.
Alrighty. Awesome to see you. Great work today. Bye, Brigham. Have a good
Thanks.
rest of your week.